I'm really excited to be part of an amazing April collaboration that's called How to Botanical. I was invited by Rachel at Rach and Bella Crafts to join this project. She has put together a huge group of amazing and talented artists here on YouTube who are bringing you a whole bunch of ideas to get your botanical journals to the next level. You can find all of the artists that are participating in this project linked down below this video. Go and check them out. It's a long list, but it's totally worth to take the time and find some new channels and creators with some really great ideas. Today it's my turn. My name is Luise Heinzel. Hi and welcome to my channel Junk Journal Art. If you perhaps are new here, welcome to my channel and welcome to this video here. Today we are going to talk about mixed media and layering while creating a special tag for your junk journal. I will show you some of my favorite techniques and mediums to create a mixed media layered tag for your junk journal. Perhaps it's an idea for you. I hope so. So let's go right into it. For today's project, I'm going to use this botanical kit by Rach and Bella Crafts. I will put the link to this kit down below in the description box so that you can check that out. And I will mix her kit up with some of my own botanical printables from my own shop that you can see, for example, here. I will tell you later some more details about these printables. I have printed out some tiny things, some bigger things that I thought that could fit and match the other kit, and I would like to create a layered mixed media tag out of these materials. So let's go. So for the first thing that I want to do is I want to make a base for my tag. So I'm just going through these wonderful pages here. By the way, Rachel, thank you very much for giving this to me. These papers are really, really cool. I really like these colors and this spring feeling in them. It's, yeah, a little bit of Easter, a little bit of spring, really vintage, and I really like these pages. So let's find some that we can use to make the base for our tag. I guess I want to go with this page here. I really like this pattern. So I will just fold this approximately so that this is 1/3 of the paper, that thing below, and this as well. Do you know what I mean? Fold it in three parts, or how can I say that? You know. You see what I'm doing here. I'm just lining this up here, and when I have that, I have a little edge here that is left over there, but of course that's no problem. I'm just taking my scissors and just cut along this fold from the top layer like this. Then we have that, and then I fold that like this and like this so that we can put this piece here inside of this thing. And now when you close this, you will probably realize that this is a little bit too long, so that you can't close it so nicely. So just take your scissors, or we could also, let's just tear this. That's also a great idea. We can get some interest to our tag this way. So let's do it like this and like this. And then, this is not a tag, of course. Let's just cut the edges so that we have this tag shape. I think I will first decide which paper I want to put here to the inside. So I'm just cutting these little triangles here so that we have the original shape of what we have cut before. Okay, so when I have this, I would like to try to grunge up the edges a little bit so that we have a really grungy tag in this mixed media style. Even if I think that everyone who is making junk journals is doing mixed media. Do you know what I mean? I'm always like, ooh, this definition of art journal, junk journal, mixed media journal, or mixed media tag or whatever. I think these definitions are really crazy because everyone who is taking some different mediums to make a junk journal, I mean different papers, fabric, lace and that stuff, who is using that is making a mixed media journal. It's mixed media. So yeah, these definitions are always a little bit crazy for me, but that doesn't matter. It's only my opinion. But we are going to make this a little bit more grungy now. So I'm taking a little bit of Distress Oxide Walnut Stain. I'm using this directly from the refiller to make sure that I have a really intensive little dot of color here, and I'm using some Vintage Photo as well, and I'm also putting this directly here to my acrylic block directly from the refiller. And then I'm taking my tag, and you can also take all of the layers at once, and I'm crumbling this up a little bit. Don't be afraid to do that because yeah, this will be really awesome in the end. You have to crumble it up to get the effect that I want to show you today. If you don't crumble it up, you will not get this effect. So that's, yeah, a little bit strange, I know. The reaction of the Distress Oxide ink is a little bit different depending on which paper you are using. This is matte photo paper. This effect gets really extremely on this paper, but you can also do this with other papers, of course. But matte photo paper or photo paper in general is really good for this. So I'm spritzing that so that this mixes up a little bit. That's totally okay. I mean, you could also do that step by step. First the one color and then the other color, but I also like to mix that up a little bit. And now I'm just going into this mixture with the edges of my tag. I'm doing that really randomly, as you can see. I'm just pressing that to this liquid, and then we can later on see what happens here. And it's also, especially with the Vintage Photo ink, there's some reaction that you can't control. So make sure that you are not afraid of getting some weird colors or some, yeah, you know, these weird colors. I mean, the Vintage Photo is getting some kind of orangey on photo paper. That's also the reason why I have mixed that with with this walnut stain, to have it not such orange. It's a little bit like it gets rusty. So depending on which look you want to have on your tag, you can of course mix the different colors, and you can see if I fold that open, you can already see what happens here. It gets a really, really cool look in the end. And now I'm taking this and I'm trying to flatten this a little bit. You could also use, if you don't want to touch that with your fingers, because of course your fingers will look a little bit messy in the end, you could also take a brayer and go over this to flatten this a little bit, because now we want to dry this, of course. And we don't want to have this, yeah, extremely strange folds on the outside. I mean, if you like that, if you like this really grungy look and there's damages, of course you could leave that. But with the drying, it also gets automatically a little bit more flat. Okay, so when I have that, I'm taking my heat gun, sorry, and drying this. Okay, so when this is dry, it looks like this, and I really, really like this rusty effect. And now I want to go around this with a really dark edge. I'm using ground espresso for the outer distressing of this tag. You could use alternatively some Vintage Photo again. This would come out totally different on the edge here, because now I'm not mixing this with water, of course. I'm just taking this little finger tool and I'm going around here to make the edges a little bit darker and to give this tag some kind of a frame. Okay, so here we go. My tag has some hair, but that's also something that I really like to leave here. I really like these threads from the sewing machine. That gives it also a little bit more grunge and this, you know, this really handmade feeling. And now it looks like this. I've changed my stitching here a little bit. I've went from a really straight stitch to this zigzag stitch. I've did that only here and then the rest in the straight stitch. So let me show it like this. I think then you can see it better. For the inside, I think I want to have some journaling space so that I can use this whole surface here for journaling. And for this, I'm using first a stencil and some white gesso, and then I want to make some kind of a pattern and a journaling space at the same time. For this thing, I want to use a stencil, so of course you can use any stencil that you want. I have this one by Tim Holtz. The number is SO26, I guess. I can read it not so good, but I will try to link this down below for you in the description box. And I want to use some white gesso now. And if you have never worked with Distress Oxide inks before, then let me give you a little tip while I'm doing this. So when you use the Distress Oxide inks and you put some gesso on top, then of course the gesso will soak the ink and it will bleed into the gesso. So the gesso will not stay white when you do this. That's a normal thing because the ink comes through the gesso and everything that you are stenciling will not stay white on these areas where you have put the oxide ink. And yeah, I don't want to have this like, you know, the people are looking to this and they say, ooh, it should have been white, but it isn't white. There has happened a mistake. So I will do something that it looks like I have planned this whole thing from the very beginning. So I'm taking some ink and I'm coloring my stencil a little bit with this ink. This stencil is new. If you have a stencil that is not new and you have some ink on it, then use that ink. Because, yeah, then you can skip this step. I really like to use my dirty stencils for exactly this technique. This is one of my absolutely favorite mixed media techniques. So then we take this and first we are going to decide where we want to put this pattern. I guess I want to have it mainly here, or perhaps like this, and the journaling space here. That also would be great. Okay, so that doesn't really matter. I'm taking my stencil, putting this here, then take a spatula and some white gesso, or you could also of course use some texture paste. That also would work really well. I want to have a really loose look of this stenciling. I don't want to have a clear result in the end. If you want to have a really clear result of this stenciling, then please use some texture paste or mix the gesso with some really fine sand or starch or something like that to make it a little bit thicker. I also like to use marble dust if I want to have a really good texture paste, but this will work. All of these mediums would work really well. So now we have this. This looks a little bit strange, I know. But as I said, I don't want to have a clear result here. I want to have this really randomly because I want to do another thing in a second. And now we can decide where we want to have the journaling space. Here in the top area, I want to have this pattern. And here, I will just go over it and smear it a little bit to the other areas. Try to get not too much of the gesso into the fold in between of the single parts of the tag, otherwise it gets a little bit stiff there. And now I have some really great journaling space here in the middle. You could also journal here and here. Here it's really flat and wide, of course, a really cool space for journaling. But I also like to pimp this up a little bit. I really like the combination of this more loose pattern of the stencil and a really clear and crisp pattern. So I'm taking my stencil again and I'm putting that here to the pattern. So I'm trying to line that up with this loose pattern below. That's sometimes not so easy, but I think it has to go this way. And then I'm taking Vintage Photo and Walnut Stain, the both colors that I've used in the very beginning to stay in my color palette, even if this will come out a little bit different than the colors here, because I will not add water or something like that, but I want to have the same color palette on my tag. And now I'm taking this little brush here, loading this with some ink, and then I'm going over this stencil here. Okay, so next I want to decide how to go on with the layering here on top of this. I mean, when this is closed, of course you will see this as the frame of the tag, and when you open it like this, you can see this and this part as well. So let's go on with this area here. So I think for the next layer I want to use some of my botanical tags that I have printed out here, or not some, but one. So let's just decide which color I want to use here. I think I will go with this yellow one here. That looks really cool. Yeah. And I will also link this item for you down below in the description box. You can find these tags here in my Etsy shop. And I guess we could also use something that's even a little bit bigger around here, because the proportion of this is until now not what I want. Perhaps the book page, for example, like this, and then I've also printed out these little things here from my cute woodland kit. There's a whole bunch of things that are coming with this kit. There are junk journal pages and an ephemera pack. There are also two different versions of this kit. There's a more grayish one and a tea-dyed one. A really, really nice customer of my shop and viewer of my channel requested this, that I make a tea-dyed version of this kit as well, and since I've done that, I'm so in love how that came out. So that was a really cool idea. Ooh, so just tear this. This is normally meant to use as a journaling card, but why not putting this, for example, here like this as another layer for this project. So I think I already really like that, but I need something that goes like this. I think in between of these layers there's something missing. So I need some more contrast. We have much contrast in the background, and I think I want to have something in between here. So I thought we could use my protection paper. So this is my protection paper that I'm always using on my desk while I'm splattering, as you can see here, or while I'm distressing something. And here is much ink and that stuff, and here are also some really grungy areas that we perhaps could use for this. So now I want to try to back these papers that are white on the back side with this, so that we later on have this layered effect, but that this is one piece. So it seems to be one layer to the first layer and the second layer, but in reality it will be one layer. So that we can flip this, and this is good because this is white. And when I put this here, I have the back here, and I can use this for more decoration, some tiny pockets, some embellishments or whatever, and I can cover up these white backs from the printables. I will just go around all of these pieces. So that means this piece, this tag, and this journaling card, and also the book page. I will go around the edges in the same way like I did that here, crumbling that up, putting the same Distress Oxide inks to it, and then dry it. And then I will go to my sewing machine and I will sew these pieces together. In the meantime, I've realized that my book page was really fragile. It was not only this, this kind of flimsy book page, but it was really fragile. So I've decided that I want to put some of this protection paper that I've used for the other pieces here to this page as well. I've did some random stitching here. I've tried to get some leaves here. Really abstract, I know, but hopefully you can see them. So I think this turned out really, really great. And yeah, this can be a starting point for something new as well, of course. So this will go here. I mean, for some collage or something like that, doodling or whatever. This can go here now. And on this piece, my machine went out of thread. So I have little holes here, and I've decided, instead of sewing this here, create a pocket here. So we can use this as a pocket, of course, and we can use this little accident here to have a pocket and put something in here, another tag or a little journaling paper or whatever. But here on the top it is a little bit strange, so I have to go over this here with my sewing machine, and I think, I will put a little zigzag stitch here and here. I will do that in a second. Then this piece will go here. And of course, we can also include some pieces of fabric or something like that to this project. So let's just decide what we want to use so that I can sew it in one step here or here. Then this piece looks like this, and I really like the contrast with this black thread. And now this is of course really sturdy. Now nothing can happen here, so we can put this somewhere here. And here I have sewn this piece completely. Of course, you could also turn this into a side-loaded pocket so that you can stick something in here, or you could also make a top-loaded pocket just by leaving this open here. Just to mention some options. Then this can go somewhere here. And here I did this, what I've mentioned before. I've turned this front piece into a pocket. And when you look at this, it seems to be sewn completely to this protection paper here. But I've just taken this piece, I've sewn along here, and then put it to the other paper, and then I have sewn here and here and here, so that we have a pocket here now. But I really like this, that the thread is going around the whole piece here. And now, of course, we can decide if we want to add more of this fabric or lace stuff. And I guess that I want to do that. And I want to sew that to my pieces so that I, yeah, have the same look like with the piece that I've done before. But of course, you can also glue that. Okay, so and now we have to put this all together so that we can flip it. And for that plan, I want to use some fabric strips. I have prepared some here. So I have this left over from the rest of this fabric. By the way, this I have dyed with some Distress Oxide inks as well. I have a video about that. I will link that down below in the description box for you so that you can watch that. And now we have to figure out how to manage this. I mean, this is not so easy because we don't want to have too many of these things visible on the layers. So I guess I will take this, and that is also every time a little bit different. I'm not doing that the same way every time I do such a layered thing. So just try to find the right way that works for you. So I will put this here. Then we can hold this in place, turn that around, and just glue this to the back side, but this has to be a little bit has to be not so long. I mean, I don't want to cover up too much of my back side here. And I know that there's also this kind of hinge binding. I think that's the right word. That's a special method how to put those single pieces together. That would also be a great thing to do this here, but I want to show you a way that you can, yeah, you know, I want you to see how it can work. Of course, you can follow a special binding method like this hinge binding method, but you can of course also figure out something for yourself that doesn't follow this method. Do you know what I mean? I always like to find my own solutions. Then that's easier for me than to think about a special method of binding. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so I think this will work. Looks a little bit strange, I know. So now we have all of these little fabric strips here. And since this is relatively flat, of course, you can take this now and go to your sewing machine and sew here and there. Just take, for example, this one page. Then you can sew here along this white strip. Nothing will happen on the back side. You can also go around here, or you can follow this line that you have sewn before and fulfill it again here to make sure that this frame goes all around if you want that. So I will just go to my sewing machine and do some random stitching here and there to make sure that this looks not so boring and not so fabricish, if this is a word. Okay, so when we have that, it looks like this. I have just randomly sewn around here and there to break this white a little bit. For example, here I have used this rectangle shape to bring a little bit more interest here to the sewing as well. As you can see, really randomly, and I really like this look, so that it's so different and so, you know, it looks like it can fall apart because it's so grungy and that stuff, but this is really sturdy. And yeah, so this works like this. And now I think we can start to decorate this a little bit. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to splatter here a little bit. I have the feeling that I need some white splatters here. And for that I'm using some white gesso. And the cool thing about this step is that you don't know what happens now. You can't control that because the oxide ink again will react with the white gesso now. So this is just a little bit of white gesso with water. I'm just taking my splatter brush here. I'm going over this, and I don't care about where this goes now because it will later on totally change its color. There where the oxide ink is underneath, it will not stay white. And this is the great thing, that you can't control it. You can't know what will happen here. So you can do this really randomly and really extremely because it will not stay such extremely later. This looks now relatively strange, but please believe me and trust me. I will now dry this and then you will see the difference. Can you see these gorgeous shadings of this white now? I hope that my camera can catch that. So for example, here it's relatively extremely visible. It gets really brownish here because of this ink underneath, and here in this area as well. On the not inked areas it will stay relatively white. And I really like this effect. This will get a little bit more extreme with the time. I've just dried that with my heat gun really quickly, but if you let this dry completely overnight, this effect will get a little bit more extremely because, yeah, the ink has time to soak into the gesso until it is really dry. I mean, you can touch this, it will not smear, but you know, with this wet mediums, it takes a time until this is really dry. So it can happen that tomorrow this looks way more brownish and not so white anymore. Now I would like to take some more pictures and some fuzzy cuttings, some stamps, and some postage stamps and some tickets to decorate this up. So I will use some of my own printables, some of Rachel's printables, and I will give you some music while I'm decorating this. Yeah. And we will see in the end of the video with a little flip through of this layered mixed media tag. Okay, so here we go. This is my finished layered mixed media tag. I hope you liked it. While I have decorated this, I've decided that I want to add some black for more contrast. So I've decided to add some die cuts here and there in black. And yeah, let's go through the single pieces here. So in this first little pocket here, I've included these little guys here. This comes from Rachel's kit. This I got in a Happy Mail. This comes from one of my own kits, and this is from my stash, this little tag. And I've also tried to layer these little things here as well. So as you can see, I've made them in different sizes so that this, yeah, has a nice look here on the top of this little pocket. Here I've included this little stamp that comes from Rachel's kit as well to get a little, yeah, highlight here into this sewn rectangle. And I've added this die cut for some more layering and more interest. I think this looks really cute in combination with this blue flower that comes from Rachel's kit as well. And especially in combination with this rusty color in the background. These stamps that I've used here with the numbers come from the Tim Holtz Field Notes stamp set. And now we can open this like this, and you can see I've added this little tag here that you can, yeah, take out from this side here. This comes from my cute woodland kit, or of course you could also take it out from here, from this little pocket. Yeah. So that it stays here, but I have to bring him into his place so that he can peek out here. That's really important. Otherwise, he can't see anything when he's not peeking out here. Okay, so here I've made this little pocket, hoopsala, that holds this tag out of Rachel's printable. Here I've added a little stamp and also the field note stamps with the numbers here. And on the next page, I have this butterfly that's also a Tim Holtz die cut, as well as the other butterflies that will come here on the next pages. Here I've made a little tuck spot out of one of my journaling cards, and this little thing here is also from the cute woodland kit, this little tag, and this thing in the background, as I told you, I think before as well. So now we can put this in here, and of course I can also add some more things. This is big enough to hold some more ephemera or some journaling papers or something like that. This page here I have left this plain as it was before, because here's going on really much with all of these layers that you can see here and with the things that are peeking out here. But of course I can use this as journaling space as well. If I want to do this, I would use a white pen to journal on this area here. I think that would look really, really great. Here in the background I've included one of my own botanical tags that you can find in my Etsy shop as well. As I said, I will link everything that I've used here down below in the description box so that you can check that out. Another die cut here. This comes from the Wildflower collection by Tim Holtz. Really cool. And I really like this, yeah, trash paper that is peeking out here and there behind the printables. I really, really like that. This stamp here is also from Tim Holtz. It's faded type. That's a really versatile stamp, I guess. Little half dragonfly here that comes from my Marry Me Juliet ephemera pack. Little scraps here from Rachel's printable. I really like this sewing in the background, and also this difference between this more glossy paper and the matte paper. The glossiness of this paper, this is also a piece of a piece of this paper that I have shown you before, and here there was some dried glue on it, and because of that it's so glossy here, and I think that looks really, really interesting. Yeah, so here I've made this little belly band. This is from Rachel's kit as well, and I've included some things here. So this is some kind of a double belly band, so it doesn't go up there. So you can put something in here and something there. And so now this is this. When you open this, we have this thing that we have made in the beginning. And here I have decided to add another little flip. Of course, you can also use the right side of this tag to add more flips. You could also layer here more things on top, like here on the outside. And this journaling card here, I've backed that with some of Rachel's paper, and this is also from my botanical tag paper. Yeah, and this is the back side. I'm just thinking, when I see this, I mean, I really love this layered look here, especially with this fabric, but I'm just thinking if we should perhaps, yeah, just add a bit of this stamp here. And I guess now it's really cool. And perhaps the last thing that we could do is we could put a little bit of distress ink here to make this look as old as the rest, and also the frame of the tag is now coming back when this oxide ink is on the outer edge here as well, and here we can do that also. Okay, so I hope you like this. Please check out also the other channels that are participating in this collaboration. I'm sure you will find a lot of ideas for your own botanical journals. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment what you think about this. And I'm hoping that we see in my next video. So have a great time, stay creative, stay healthy, bye bye.